Hi, my name's Leo and I'm on a crazy mission to rebuild and restore this historic wooden sailing yacht that I'm in. She's called Tally Ho. She was built in 1910 in England. She's an Albert Strange design and she's had an adventurous life all around the world, but the last couple of decades she's spent basically rotting in a port in Oregon, and I found her and I brought her up here to Washington State, and my plan is to completely rebuild her to more or less her original 1910 specification and then sail her back to England. The next job is to take the keel bolts out, and then hopefully I'm going to lift the whole boat up off its lead keel. Now I'm also waiting for the building inspector to turn up any day now and let me know whether or not I have to tear down this shed that I built over the boat. We had a complaint from a neighbour and I'm just hoping and praying that I don't have to take this down because it could have a massive effect on the project. So thanks for your words of encouragement and advice about that since last week, and fingers crossed, right? So I got most of the nuts off the keel bolts last time, but there's one of the ones I didn't get is inside the mast step here. I'm going to need to take the mast step out to get this nut off this keel bolt. But first, I'm going to measure it. You know, I was looking for a bigger spanner. Ah, I found one. So what I'm doing here is heating up the bottom of the keel bolt, and what I hope that's going to do is make it easier to get out, because the heat will make the bronze expand. That will push some of the lead out of the way, and then when it contracts again as it cools down, it'll have a bit more space. Well, I've been struggling all afternoon trying to get these keel bolts moving, heating them up with a blowtorch on the top, on the bottom, been bashing away, and finally, just now, just got a little bit of movement on the first one. So it feels like a big success. This bolt has been particularly difficult. It's come out about 6 inches, but it doesn't want to come any further, so I've heated it up with the blowtorch right here. The next thing I'm going to do is drill a hole in between the keel and the keel timber to intersect the keel bolt, and I'm going to put some lubricating oil in there. I'm hoping that that's going to seep into the gap around the keel bolt and loosen it up, because this one's getting really stuck. About 35-40 knots of wind here, although the tarps are flapping around quite a lot. There's actually zero movement in the structure of the shed. Yeah, it's pretty grim out here today, windy and rainy. It's not too bad in the shed, but makes me think about putting some walls and sides on it if I don't have to tear it down, that is. The inspector's coming tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't blow away before he gets here either. Right, well, the inspector has just been and gone, and it went pretty well, I think. He was really reasonable. He liked the shed. He thought it looked pretty safe and secure. Looked at the plans, and they helped a lot. But it's not over. I've got to get some kind of letter of endorsement from a structural engineer. Would help my case with them and allow them to grant me some kind of temporary or medium term permit. it looks like I'm not going to be pulling the whole thing down, at least not for a while at any rate. So I'm very, very relieved. I think I've got 7 or 8 out now, and I think there's 13 in total. A stubborn little... Fuck. Just broke my sledgehammer. So these are the last 2 keel bolts that just came out, and there's now nothing other than gravity and friction holding the keel onto the rest of the boat. It looks like an enormous mole has been wreaking havoc. Here are the keel bolts, numbered from bow to stern, 1 to 13. They're various nuts and washers. And you can see there's 2 types here. Most of them are these with nuts on both ends, and I think they were more recent. And there's a few which are these tapered ends, and they're actually thicker bolts as well, and the bronze is quite a bit more brittle, and they take these much larger nuts, and I'm assuming that those are the original keel bolts. Next stage is to try and get that boat off of its keel. This is a really nice place to come for a run. There's lots of really nice trails around there, and I'm really close to the boat, and got the sea, and it's beautiful, so I'm going to keep on running. I've really sorted my state of mind out. I was a bit stressed today for some reason, and it's all good now. Right, so all the keel bolts are off now, and it's time to prepare to get the keel off. So this is just a little piece that is let in to make this curve fair. So I'm just going to take that off, which will give me a flat surface on the bottom of the front of the keel timber. I hate sawing upside down. But it's really cold here this morning, and at least this warms me up. So these are steel fastenings which were not original, but obviously put in quite a while ago, and I managed to get 2 of them out intact, but unfortunately this one sheared off while I was trying to take it out, so there's still some steel up in there. So I'm going to try and get it out right now before I forget about it. Got him. I'll plug that hole up later. Now you can see that in the wood that I just took off, worm holes here. Luckily worms don't like teak, and they haven't gone up from a piece like this up into the keel timber. Oh, and in fact, wow, literally just seen this as I was speaking, but I think that is a, can you see that? I think that is a skeleton, or the remains of a marine boring worm, possibly a teredo. That's amazing, I've never seen anything like that before. It's massive. And these things will bury into the wood when they're tiny, just like microscopic basically, and then once they're inside they'll start eating away and growing, and they end up making massive holes like this, eating away the whole inside of a plank or a dead wood, and you never know because they never come to the surface. They can be very dangerous, and a good reason to use teak or make sure you have good anti-fouling on the wooden boat, especially when you're sailing in tropical climates where worms like this one will thrive. I'm just about to start putting some pressure on these jacks and hoping that the boat is going to lift up and leave the keel nice and neatly behind, and nothing's going to break or snap or otherwise go wrong. Now I'm just starting to see the tiniest sliver of a crack appear between the keel and the keelson, so that's good. About half an inch, 3/4 of an inch of space there. The best thing is that it seems to be consistent the whole way along the boat, which means that the keel timber isn't bending at all without the extra strength of the lead keel below it. If it had bent, or if it does bend, then it could be a big problem. I've now got about 2 inches off. This bottle jack has reached its maximum height. Well, it's going up alright, but it's very slightly off true vertical. So as I stiffen up the props, I'm going to just be doing it on port side first to make sure it doesn't go any further over to port. About 3.5 inches of space here, which is just about enough to get these blocks in. Well, it gets dark real quick here, but I'm still lowering the boat down onto the chocks, so I'm just going to finish up for the night, and it's a bit dark to show you the finished result now, but we'll have a look in the morning. So last night got the keel off the boat, or rather got the boat off the keel. So having given it a little bit of thought, I've decided to raise the boat up a bit higher. I might need more access underneath the keel timber to get to the bottom of the bolts that are holding the floors in. The thing is, once I start taking planks and frames and things out, I won't be able to move the boat then, because she won't be self-supporting and will be relying on her cradle. So I'm just going to do it now. That'll give me enough room to get a jack in between keel timber and the keel if I need to. If I need that to push the floor bolts up. Alright, well now I'm ready to drop the jacks out and put the weight of the boat back onto these chocks and onto the keel again. This is actually the sketchiest part of the whole thing, I think, because as you take the weight off the jack, if you're not very careful with the props, the weight of the boat will go onto the props and then onto the planking, which is obviously bad and can damage the planks and the frames. So you've got to kind of knock the props out so they're all a little bit loose, and then just let a tiny bit of weight off the jack, and then knock them out again and let a little bit off the jack again, and keep on doing that. Alright, well now the weight is off the jacks, on the keel, via the blocks, and now of course we've got to shore the boat up properly. Well, it's been one of those days where it feels like I've kept getting distracted and haven't got much done really, but I have got the boat up another 4 inches. That's good because that's a job which has been on my mind for a while, how it would work, if it would work. I can now see the bottom face of the keel timber, and it looks pretty good from what I can see. And I can access the bottom of the bolts that go through the floors. And when the time comes, I can rebed that join between the keel and the keel timber. Alright, well that's it for now guys, so thanks a lot for watching. One thing I wanted to mention is that I'm looking for a lot of black locust, which is a timber that I might use as framing stock. So if anyone knows of lots of black locust growing in this sort of area that I might be able to mill, then please get in touch and let me know. And I also want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's generously donated or otherwise supported this project through sharing or getting in touch with me. It's really, really appreciated, and as you know, this isn't funded or sponsored or anything like that, it's just my own crazy madness. So thanks a lot for helping to save a beautiful historic wooden vessel. See you guys next time.